Well, good morning. This is the time and the place for the October 9th, 2024 meeting of the Boise Public Library Board of Trustees. I hereby call this meeting to order. Can we please get a roll call?
Come on. Lenny.
Here.
Ventura. Here. Presnowski.
Here.
Lemons.
Here.
Board Member President Kamala.
Thank you. We have no introductions today, all friendly faces. Thank you all for attending today. Agenda number 2, no communication items. So we'll move on to number 3, the minutes approval. Please review the minutes from the September 11th meeting. Let us know if there are any questions or comments.
I move approval of the minutes as presented. I second.
Roll call.
Lenny.
Yes.
Ventura. Yes. Presnowski.
Yes.
Lemons.
Yes.
All in favor.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. All matters on the consent agenda are considered routine and may be approved in a single motion. A trustee may ask that an item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separate. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda for today?
I would move to approve the matters on the consent agenda.
Second.
Can I get a roll call?
Lenny.
Yes.
Ventura.
Yes.
Presnowski.
Yes.
Lemons.
Yes.
All in favor. Motion carried.
Moving on to reports. Do we have Zach from Friends of the Library?
I don't see him on.
Okay. We will move on. I see Camille with the foundation. Good morning, Camille.
Morning, everybody. I have a fairly quick update this month. We are putting the finishing touches on our end of year project plans, and the officers are working on our 2025 planning. Our next meeting is tomorrow, and that's all I have for this month. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Camille. Appreciate you. Okay, moving on to the president's report. Jessica. Director's report. First one. Director Jessica.
I just want to update a couple things for your awareness. First, I want to start with the news of the passing of a longtime library supporter. A woman named Marty Brenner passed away in September. She was a longtime library supporter, served on both the foundation with Camille, but then also was a trustee of the Boise Public Library from 2001 to 2011. And if the name is familiar at the Mountain Crossing Library, that large set named in her honor. So last week, the family had her memorial service at the library to celebrate her. One of the things that the family asked is that in lieu of flowers or donations, to donate books to the Friends of the Boise. So we have those books here at admin. We're waiting for a couple that we know are going to get dropped off. That donation to the Friends. A remarkable libraries. I want to give you an update. This weekend, you may have heard we had some issues with first our Libby app for our ebooks and the audiobooks, and then for our IDA app and the overdrive service. So Libby was not available for most of the weekend, and IDA was not available for a little bit of Monday. That has been completely resolved. We understand the issue. Won't have that particular interruption going forward. Obviously, that is the nature of working with digital resources. I want to give a huge thank you to the public, which was very understanding. So yep, we understand these things happen. Thank you for resolving it as quickly as possible. And then also a huge appreciation for our information services team, which really fielded all those questions from the public. If you send an email to ask a librarian, that goes to that team. And they just calmly, over the weekend, just responded, yep, we're working on this as quickly as possible. We put something up on the website, but really wanted you to be aware of that service interruption because we try to avoid them whenever possible. It is fiscal year 2025. So we have now begun doing some of the planning for some of the investments. Fiscal year started on Tuesday of last week. And I think it was Thursday or Friday, we already had our team that was looking at where we're gonna put the sorter at Colony Stick. So that planning is well underway. Super excited about that. Also, as you can see, James did a wonderful job with putting together for the first time in our board packet, the information in the new format. So thank you, James. It remains, I feel I would be remiss if I didn't point out for James that this is a work in progress. He is going to continue to refine it, but particularly some of the things we discussed last month about making those year-to-year comparisons more easy to see. So stay tuned for that, but just really wanted to appreciate James' work that he did and all the feedback we got from him. One other or two other things I just want to talk about, and this topical or timely. Carrie and I have discussed this, and one of the things that Carrie wanted to think about is how to catch up Board of Trustee members who may have missed a meeting. And so what we will make sure that Carrie does is send to the trustee who has missed that meeting the link to the YouTube. So they'll have you will have an easy way of going back and reviewing the discussion that the board had, any decisions that were made. We know you have the notes, but they are it's a high level record. So we wanted to make sure that if you're not able to attend, it's easy for you to go back and watch the meeting. So I really want to appreciate Carrie for that suggestion to make it easy for you to track. And speaking of upcoming meetings, in November, we will bring to you the library closer schedule for the calendar year, and then the rebudget and re-encumbrance request. So those will be on that agenda. And then on a future date, and this was something that was requested last month, we're still working on when to schedule that, but that will be community engagement will come in and share some more about the media report that is now included. And finally, if you're around tomorrow, the Wasserman Center, which is our next door neighbor, they are having their grand opening of their new center, and we're very excited for them. And just wanted you to be aware that they are moving into their space and will be officially open to the public, and we look forward to having them back on the block. With that, awesome.
Okay, hearing no questions, thank you so much, Jessica. Appreciate those updates. We have a standing agenda item for reviewing requests for consideration. We have none for this month. Moving on to our educational item, we will have Eliza Ruby, our Information Services Manager, join us to share a bit about the upcoming Staff and Service Day. Welcome, Eliza.
Oh, thank you. Okay, hello. Okay, yes, my name is Eliza Ruby. I'm the Information Services Manager. I'm also leading the planning team for our Library and Service Day, which is happening this coming Monday. So soon. Part of our mission at the library is to provide access and opportunity for everyone by connecting people to ideas, information, and community. And so within that, we have our strategic priorities. This is all review. I know you guys know all of this already. But one of our priorities is to optimize resources, including strengthening and streamlining our operational capabilities. And so focusing in a little more on that. Carrie, it's not working. Thank you.
Something, so it's probably not letting me finish.
Thank you. So within optimizing our resources, one of our goals is to invest in a highly trained and well-supported workforce. And with that in mind, we took that as part of one of our sprint team. So with our sprint team, we focused in on this. Oh, there we go. Okay. So within our sprint teams, you've seen this page. This is just a review for you that we have sprint teams that are focusing on different bits and pieces of our priorities. And so we gave our sprint team, one of our very first sprint teams that we had, the framing question of how might we ensure that every staff member is empowered through high quality training and support. And they did a fantastic job putting together research and doing surveys with our staff, seeing what other libraries have done, and suggesting that we bring back our library in service day that we had before the pandemic. We hadn't had one, an all-day event like this since before the pandemic. So they suggested that we bring it back, gave us some incredible goals, some plans, some fantastic timelines to keep us on track for our planning. And so they did everything but the actual planning of the event, which was fantastic, so that I didn't have to do any of that legwork to get started. And so they pretty much just handed us the best in-service day ever. That was the goal that they created for us. And so we are working to live up to that, that fantastic title that they gave us. So we'll see. I think it will be. It's going to be amazing. So what we've come up with for our day, this is just a breakdown of the schedule that we're going to have that day. So in the morning, we're going to have some, breakfast bits, coffee, tea, because that is a priority for libraries. We need to be caffeinated. We're going to have some opening remarks from both of you, as well as one of our city council members. We are going to have a keynote address about visual literacy, and this is from Laura Johnston, also known as Wally. She works at the Bora High School Library. She has done this presentation or something similar to it at BCAF for the Teacher and Librarian Day. So she's customizing it to librarians specifically instead of teachers. And she's going to do that. And I'm so excited. I saw the slides. I learned so much just from her slides. So I'm really excited to hear her talk about it. We have some amazing breakout sessions. We put the call out for our staff to do breakout sessions so that they could have the opportunity to learn how to present and to get some of those leadership skills that way. We also have a few people coming from Idaho Commission for Libraries to do some presentations. So we're going to have things like a collection development Q&A, the science of story time, First Amendment information. We're going to have a yoga teacher come in and do a yoga class for some people who want that, interlibrary loan information and how it works for the library, because that always feels like a little bit of a mystery. We are going to have Idaho Commission for Libraries come in and have tools for managing personal and professional change. They're also doing building equity-based summers. So that's going to be really interesting, hopefully focusing a little more on the youth on that one. We have a bunch of our managers are going to do a panel and help people, through the interview process of what it's like to apply for jobs, tips and tricks for the interviews themselves, the follow-up after that, and everything like that, since we have so many openings coming up, and we want to encourage everybody to go for the jobs that they want. We also we're going to have the Golden Eagle Audubon Society is going to come in for a nature walk in the afternoon for folks, and breaking the communication barrier. So communicating through a diverse community. So some really, really great sessions. I'm very excited about it. We also have speed programming is what we're calling it in the afternoon. And so this is just, we're highlighting a few of our different unique programs at different locations. It's going to be these quick 10-minute just snippets of the program, some wins, some how can we make this better, maybe a little sample of the program for people to go to. So it's kind of speed printing is one of the programs we host sometimes, or speed dating is what people know what it is most. So it's just going to be quick little groups. You're going to see a program for 10 minutes and then move on to the next one. So there'll be 6 different ones of those. So it'll be fast activity, collaboration at the end of the day. Just to keep our energy up, because having a full day of mini conference is hard. So yeah, so I think we've put together a really great day. I have an amazing team who all love to work on these details. We're going to have some great lunch, some great food, and just hopefully we get to meet everyone in the system, see a lot of new faces. And so your role in this wonderful day is, so between 8 and 8:30, we are going to have our morning refreshments. People will be coming in. We have some wonderful swag to hand out. You all have been kind enough to write some amazing cards. I can't imagine writing that many, so thank you all for the time you put in for that. So yeah, our hope for you is just to be able to welcome everybody in, get them their shirts. I'll have a list of everybody with their shirt sizes. So get their shirt to them, get the card to them, show them where the swag is, the food is, and just help kick our day off. Yeah. Any questions about the day?
Would you like us to stay for more of the sessions, or would you?
If you are passionate about one of these breakout sessions and want to stay for it, you are welcome to, but not obligated to.
I just want to say this is a lovely blend of personal development, professional development, and self-care time. So well done in a jam-packed one day.
Yeah.
So please share our appreciation with the planning team and the sprint team for coming up with the best day ever.
Yeah, they came up with, I was looking through their goals and that was exactly what they wanted. They wanted professional development, building professional relationships, and just wellness. So I think we got all of those. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Eliza. Moving on to old business, we will move into our policy review with Sarah Kelly Chase, our Library and Public Services Manager. You're kicking off the beginning of another year.
Yes. Welcome to FY 25. We got through everything last year with a month to spare. So we're starting fresh back from the top. So we're just looking at 1.01, 1.02. Board of Trustees, it's really what your role is as a board and what the guidelines are. Policy 1.02 is how we handle public complaints, the chain of command, and what your role is in that. We're not recommending any changes. Any questions?
On policy 1.01, I think it should make reference to the city code in addition to the state code, just as we've done in our recent update to the board bylaws.
You can look at making that update and bring it back.
Okay. And I had one comment. Well, I guess it's more of a discussion on this. Some months ago, we talked about a system for patrons to provide feedback. I asked if there was a suggestion box and if there was something on the website. And there was something. It was kind of tough to find. It was a little tiny more button somewhere. In the new version of the website, it's pretty easy to find contact us. You've got it on almost every page. They can get a contact us button. If you click contact, it's not exactly obvious that it's for feedback. It's kind of a free form, whatever someone does with it. I thought it might be worthwhile to say that the library staff will establish and document and maintain a formal process for patrons to submit feedback. We talked about this the last time in our discussion. I felt strongly that having some feedback mechanism, particularly for the marquee city entity with customer-facing role, that we make it easy for patrons to provide feedback, and we track it so we know what people are suggesting, if there's any consistency, or sometimes they identify something you never would have thought of. So I think it's a healthy process to have. I think 1.02 should describe what we're going to do in general terms about having a system, a process for getting patron feedback.
Sarah, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Is that, so this is titled public complaints. Is there anywhere else in our policy or the regulations a broader thing about feedback, or would we then want to make this a little broader instead of just public complaints?
There isn't a specific
Feedback?
call out. We take feedback in a number of ways. We do get feedback through that ASCA account, the comments account, the in-person cards at desks, and we do track them and respond to them as they come in. So I'm not sure where the best place would be to codify that, but we could certainly explore it.
I think a general description works well for 1.02. There needs to be a little post-processing of these things as they come in. Not everything requires an action. Not all feedback requires a specific response. But I think capturing all feedback and categorizing it, whether it's about a facility or restroom or whatever it is, and looking for trends and consistency, frequency over time is a healthy process. So I just wanted to give you that general comment. I think this is the right place to do it. And it's more a matter of figuring out what the language in this section would look like.
I think you're right, because it is complaints, we would have to change, because feedback isn't necessarily complaints. We get a lot of kudos and.
Yeah.
My the other hesitation is to be cautious about putting procedures in policy. So I guess I would rather see something more general, like staff will have a process for collecting feedback than getting into. I'm not sure if that's what you're proposing, but
Yes.
But I don't necessarily want to get into what that procedure is in a policy.
Yeah, that belongs somewhere else, I think. But
Okay.
give the board's direction that the expectation is a system will exist is kind of the point we want to get across in 1.02.
It refers to proper administrative channels, that any complaints, I guess you could generalize that to feedback if we feel strongly that that be the case. I guess you could place it under something around the proper administrative channels space there, if we feel strongly about it. I agree, I would want to leave some flexibility and room for discernment for staff and leadership as to how that is gathered. And I also wouldn't want to add too much additional tracking mechanisms either for these things. I feel like you all have pretty decent systems for addressing complaints and feedback as they're coming through. I'm curious if we perceive that there's a problem or something that's missing from here that we need additional language, Brian.
Well, as I said, I went and explored what's on the website, and it's not clear in the contact us button what that is for. And, so my suggestion was to call it feedback, which could be any nature. It could be positive, it could be negative, it could be, I had a great visit. But some formal system should be established for capturing feedback from patrons. That's what is missing. I don't have the language in front of me, but I wrote it down as I was reading the language. I don't see that in the paragraph as it currently exists.
I think so. I think the one thing that I'd like to add to the consideration is there are places where we ask for feedback on a specific event or a specific project. The next agenda item will be about the facility planning, and I'm going to share with you some of the feedback that we got from the public on the, for that potential facility plan. So I'm struggling with where we know we are actively going to the public because we want to know what did they think about this program, or what did they think about, an event that they attended versus the, that the purpose of a general feedback that is so I guess I'm kind of struggling with when we know we're going out to the public because we need to know some information so we can design a program or improve a facility, and how that relates to that where we're actively going out versus where we're trying to have something come in from the public that may be more broad that we're not aware of. And so I'm trying to play that in how you would shape a policy to be directive on both of those. It's not explaining.
So, I mean, I guess I would, agree with Kevin, Brian, sorry. And the notion that this implies that the only thing we're interested in is, and clearly, if somebody's complaining, it is important to hear that. But, I mean, and I think you could just broaden it to feedback that includes both positive and negative and neutral comments about, because it's not like we're prescribing a specific, oh, we want it in this form and in this nature. It just says that the staff will take into consideration essentially that, we're interested in hearing what your feedback is on policies and regulations and facilities and services, et cetera, and that you'll have a process by which that can be gathered, and then to the extent that it has an impact on the board's work, you'll bring it to the board. And so it seems to me that just broadening the nature of this from just complaints to feedback doesn't limit your ability to if you're doing feedback or seeking feedback, say on the strategic plan or whatever. It's going to be a more formal process versus somebody just writing on the website, coming to the front desk and saying, really love the program you had on. But this does seem sort of limited, as if the only thing we're interested in is people giving us complaint. As a board, the only thing we're interested in hearing about is
Okay. So I'm thinking about some of the other policies that we've rewritten recently that have more of that context, and maybe that is how we want to hear from the public is maybe the overarching. We as a library do want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our public, so we frequently ask for feedback on particular programs and services, and we have a clear way of having complaints come in and be reviewed by the proper channels in the following order. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, it sounds like you're on the right track with that description.
So we can bring this back next month. We'll add some language to both of those sections for your review.
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Anything else to consider as we're drafting that? What would be most important to make sure we include?
Well, I
So
do
the-
think you need to leave what you have to
Okay.
your point that you just made,
Absolutely.
Jessica, that I think the point of this is establishing like
Board's role.
process for dealing with complaints and making clear that people need to follow these process through these channels. So I do think you need to kind of leave what's there. and maybe add
And
this.
so this is
I think
additive.
so.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
there's one specific kind of feedback. The programs I kind of look at as different. Normally, you're getting a survey at the end of a program. You ask people before they come out the door, could you just fill out this form, tell us what you thought about the program? The only other place in all of our policies and procedures is in the request for reconsideration. And this does not have to do with anything about the collection. So these are other types of things. And so it takes a little bit of description to make sure you communicate the intent and the purpose behind it. And, that it is something formal that is in place for the public, for patrons to provide feedback. And again, I'm being repetitive. I like feedback, and because it's not limiting to complaints. I want to hear complaints. I want to hear praise. I want to hear all the things that come in from the public. if I'm a member of the library staff. And, as I said, you look at this data over time, you start to see trends. And my guess is you won't see a lot, but you probably see more than you get now once there's a formal vehicle that people are aware of for that purpose.
I do think, to your point, Brian, they do spell out nicely in 1.02 the type of complaint. In this case, we could expand to feedback, that it's specific to policies, regulations, facilities, or services. So it's clearly articulating this isn't a collection complaint process or things like that. So I do think retaining language, to Nikki's point, would be good. I feel like that's well defined here.
It seems to me you just need to have
An opening,
that talks about, we value the opportunity, or the library provides numerous opportunities for public feedback. And we welcome it, or some language like that, and then speak to the idea of specifically constructive criticism. It's patron may want directed to the board should go through this process prior to just bringing it straight to.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for the robust discussion. Moving on, our next agenda item is a facilities planning update from Jessica and Lindsay Erb, our City of Boise Public Works Senior Project Manager.
I will take lead on this. Lindsay will be here to answer specific questions. Nikki, every time we are putting something together and we think about how this links to the strategic plan, we always think about how excited you are going to be. So both Eliza and I wanted to make sure we were very clear about the work that we are doing comes directly from our strategic plan and our mission. Terry, I'm trying to.
There it is.
Do I have it now? Okay.
I hope so.
But this is how we're trying to provide access and opportunity for everyone in this. You remember when we did our strategic plan, it became so apparent that we needed to start talking about facilities through the feedback that we just got on that plan. So this is the work that we are doing. We've had some periodic updates with you about it, about making sure our libraries are welcoming, that they're accessible, they're comfortable spaces, they can be used by the entire community. And so this is the work that we kicked off to really create that plan that will make recommendations for how we can look at our system across for the next 10 to 20 years and really bringing to life those spaces that residents love to visit and use. So I am thrilled. We're going to talk about the step that we're in right now, which is that directly, Brian, to your point about when we are going out to the community to get feedback. In September, we had opened to the public a survey about our facilities plan. And that was put together by Group 4. I really liked how they built the survey because you could do the survey and you could provide feedback just on the system, or you could provide feedback on up to 5 locations. So you got to pick as a survey respondent. You could say, I really care about the Collister branch and downtown. So you could do that survey just providing really in-depth feedback about those locations. And the questions that were asked both across the system and then for those individual locations are, what do you want to have more about at the library? What prevents you from accessing physical locations? What improvements would you want to see? What would you like to do more of? And the survey was open from September 3rd to September 30th. We did the city of Boise and our community engagement team really helped us on a push to really get the word out. So it was promoted in the library and city of Boise newsletters. It got picked up. It ran on at least 3 local news channels. There's a little clip from one of the reporters talking about it. Picked up on social media. Had it in some well-known Boise newsletters. We have a page on the library website that's pointing people to first the survey and now this project in general. And then we did some promotions at library events and community events. And then we had some promotion at every location. So we had the bookmark that had the QR code to the survey. And then on the right, you can see we had some easy forms or posters that people in our locations could, do a quick check mark or write in something. But really what we were trying to do is drive them to taking the survey with that QR code. And all of those QR codes in each location were individual to that building. So group 4 also has, when people were coming in, what location were they then picking up the survey from a poster. And then as you can see, one of the things that staff had to do was when a poster got full, that they would take a picture of it, we send it off to group 4, and they would start looking at some of the actual feedback and thoughts. You'll notice there's a cat contingent in both of these. The one on the left, I believe, is from Mount Crossing, and the one on the right is from Cornerstone. And so with that, we had the survey was open a month. It closed on September 30th. So I only have some very, very initial responses. It was about 1,950 people took the survey. Group 4 is pulling out those people that were not Boise residents. Obviously, there was no way for us to limit that. But you can start to see the breakdown of a number of responses and the percentage of that population in that zip code and the percentage of survey responses. One of the things we wanted to make sure is that, are we seeing something that is across the city? And this is Heidi Lewis's favorite slide that she gets to look at. We went back and compared it to the 2022 strategic planning survey. So you can see that for the most part, we tracked pretty closely with one noticeable exception, which is the area code 83713, which had a significant increase, and that is West Boise. So that group did some real promotion, and you can see that indicated in the numbers. So I have two early slides to show you about the responses that we've gotten from the community. And one thing that was just really gratifying for me to see was how closely this tracks to the feedback that we got from our strategic planning survey. That number one response: which of the following statements are true for your community? With almost 79%, so almost 80% of people that took this survey responded early childhood literacy and school readiness are important for our community. That was our number one in the facility planning survey. That was also number one in our strategic planning survey. The second one was we need more activities and spaces for teens and tweens. Followed closely by our community needs more access to books, media, and information, and our community would benefit from more places to gather. So we had a clear number one, 3 that shortly followed, and then I think we moved into the same thing that we saw in our strategic planning survey is places where the library supports. That's this is the education where we lead, and then some of the other areas are where we support programs and activities, participate in as a community, places to have conversations about important community topics, information and resources to support job and housing needs, information and resources for health and well-being. And then the number rounding out is we need more places to cool off in the summer or stay warm in winter. And as you'll notice on the very bottom of this, we have 14% of people said other. And this is the work that Group 4 is doing right now, is actually to go in and to categorize, okay, what are the themes that we can have in that other category and how to use that. So like I said, I think to me, the big takeaway is just how consistent that was with our strategic plan, which I think gives us some real confidence in using these results in that. And then the next slide I can show you. Oh boy, no one's going to be able to see that. This is what would you like to do more of at the Boise Public Library. The number one at 67% was attend great programs for adults. And I think that shows you just how much of our programming right now is really youth programming. And so that you can see that that would be an area where people are looking for growth. After that, connect with people with similar interests, spend time in a pleasant outdoor space, or enjoy a comfortable space on my own. And rounding out the top 5 is accessing tools or other instruments, sewing machines. So lots of stuff to dig into on this. Again, this one has a 13% of other. So that's a pretty significant amount of work for group 4 to dig into. And then this was just system wide. They'll have similar things to look at with each location. So they've got, I've got real confidence in just the breakdown of how many respondents they got, how closely it tracked to our strategic plan numbers. And so I think when they come back to us with a much more in-depth look at the survey responses, we'll be in a great spot. Sorry.
So just an observation, it's interesting to me about spend time in pleasant outdoor space, light of the fact that with rare exception, there isn't outdoor spaces associated with systems.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting too. And I think that's where some of the, some of those next step conversations will help us understand what people are thinking of that. And I also am curious what the other responses are on that, because people, there are some open-ended questions that'll have a lot that we can really explore, but also the way we set this up with the community survey leading to inform the community conversations. I think that will be one of the things that group 4 will really do. Any other observations or thoughts on that? And so then to that next step is really, giving group 4 time to really do the analysis to set up some of those community conversations in early 2025. And we are also, I've been working with the mayor's office to potentially, if it works out schedule-wise, and we've got more data and potential findings from group 4 to have a group, to have actually a shared work session with you and with council, so that we can bring group 4 up, we can update you both at the same time and have a discussion that really would make sure that some of those conversations in early 2025, we've got the board and council signed up for and aligned with. So stay tuned for that. That'll take some scheduling, but now that we've got this.
I love that the reminder to take the survey by clicking on the QR code was a bookmark. I think it's fabulous that you give out bookmarks.
Thank you, Brian. It wouldn't be a library promotion if it didn't have a bookmark.
Just, I believe we've talked about it before, but will there be opportunity for us to attend and listen in to the community sessions as we did before?
Yes, thank you. Yes, we will do this. We will do something similar where we will have listening sessions at all locations. We may think about listening sessions at not our current locations, but other locations, and we would absolutely do the same thing. Brian was on that. Ron, for your awareness, one of the things we assigned each board of trustee an individual listening session so that we had board representation, and then board members came back and shared their experiences in those, because you had some commonalities, but there was definitely some differences in what you heard in your listening session. So thank you for that reminder. We will do that again. I thought that was really successful.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. It's great to not just have visibility to the community, but also hear the insights in person. It's pretty meaningful.
It's BOT.
Board of Trustee.
Oh,
We're bots.
thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
So yeah, we want to thank everyone who took the survey, and just really are excited for we know that there's just going to be so many more interesting findings, and I was really appreciative of group 4 to hold these slides for us real quick. yes, they are starting to dig into all the comments and suggestions. Anything to add?
It's happy to just sit here. Thank you for your support, Lindsay. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, moving on. We have no new business for today. The selection of trustee to review payment vouchers. Brian, you are up for the month of October. Does that work okay for you?
I am ready, willing, and able.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Our next meeting date will be Wednesday, November 13th. Do we have any known conflicts?
I mentioned that I'm uncertain of my participation. I'll be traveling, but I might be in an airport able to participate. I'm not sure.
Probably exactly the same positions.
Okay, keep us posted, because that will get us nervous if we know 2 people have, but the rest, that gives us 3 still, so.
I might be able to just fly certainly would not be here.
No, that's fine.
Zoom.
All right, with that, we are on to adjournment. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you all so much.